All right, hello, good morning. It's 11 o'clock, a call to order. The meeting is back in session, having been placed in recess on Monday the 12th at 4:30 p.m. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
For attendance, Trustee Couch,
Yes.
Trustee Daly,
Yes.
Trustee Dotson,
Yes.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Reyes,
Present.
Trustee Walcott,
Here.
Chair Swanson.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Okay, since this is a resumption of last Monday's meeting,
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I'd like to make a motion pertinent to these proceedings. Earlier this morning, I delivered to Trustee Swanson a conflict of interest complaint against Trustee Couch. Specifically, it's a conflict of interest. It involves conflict of interest. Trustee Couch violated Board Policy 1361. This is what I submitted to you, sir. Just a minute, and I'll be...
It's a complaint and will be handled after the meeting.
Let me finish what I said. I have the floor. The complaint, when she voted on motions to make Shonda Richardson Snell the regular president of Mott Community College in November 20 and December 2024 and May of 25, I asked the board chair to do what policy 1361 and 1325 require him to do.
John?
Just a minute.
No,
Let me
that's
finish.
out of order.
No, I'm not
That's out of order.
I move that because of this complaint, and we have two people that are directly involved with these transactions involved in the complaint, that any further proceedings on dealing with this contract be postponed until this complaint is investigated and adjudicated.
Second.
No, that's out. I ruled that out of order, John.
I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Okay, there's an appeal. If you agree with the chair that Mr. Daly's, he was out of order, and you agree with the chair, you would vote yes. And if you agree with Mr. Daly, then it would be a no. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Daly, on the appeal.
Read the options again to me, please.
The chair, do you want to restate it? Want me to?
Go ahead.
The chair ruled that your motion was out of order, you appealed it. If the board wants to sustain the chair's ruling, they vote yes. If they want to overrule his ruling, allow the motion to go forward, they would vote no. On the appeal.
No.
Trustee Daly. Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Couch.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
No.
Trustee Walcott.
Yes.
Trustee Dotson.
No.
Chair Swanson.
Yes.
The chair's vote is sustained on the appeal. The appeal is sustained of the chair.
Question?
Yes, sir.
I assume you want a copy of this for the record, since I referred to it directly in my motion. So I request that be added to the minutes of this meeting.
Okay. All right, since this is a resumption of last Monday's meeting, we'll continue where we left off. 1.34, the consideration of the ad hoc committee's contract offer recommendation to interim President Shonda Richardson Snell and finalization of contract offer, including determination of procedure process for decision-making. So we are in process of amending the proposed draft of the contract that we're going to offer to the intern president to become the permanent president. But before we move along here in the amendment process, I would like to determine whether the board still wants to extend a contract offer to the interim president. All right, it's has been brought up several times. There's 2 members on the board that weren't here when the board voted twice to make the contract offer. If the board no longer wants to do so, it would be better to find out right now before we spend any more time on this. So I move that the board's decision to extend the contract
Point of
offer
order.
to...
Point of order. Point of order. The chair can't make motions.
Point of order. Yeah. What?
I
Yes.
just said it. The chair cannot make motions.
Yes, the chair can.
Are you stepping down?
Huh? Nope, don't
You
have to.
can't do that as the chair.
Let's ask the parliamentarian.
The chair of a small board has all the rights and responsibilities of any other member of the board, especially when they're an elected public official. It's indeed, the chair can make motions from the chair.
Define small board.
This would be it, 7 members.
That would be up to the members who've never made a decision whether we're a small board.
You don't need to make, you do not, you operate under that ruling regardless, and the chair has ruled, well, the chair has ruled that his motion is in order. We'd have to appeal it.
I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Okay, there's an appeal on my ruling. If you agree with Mr. Daly that I cannot make motions, then your vote would be no, correct? Yes.
Did you say if you agree with trustee Daly, you would vote no?
Yes. And if you agree with the chair that I am able to make motions, you would vote yes.
Question.
Yes, sir.
How many times in the last 2 years has the chair, any chair of this committee made a motion?
That's not pertinent. I'm able to make motions, and I'm going to make motions. So we have a,
So you're not going to answer the question.
Chairman Swanson, may I ask a question?
yes.
Is there a bylaw, a policy, anything that's written that says that the chairperson cannot make a motion? Do we have anything written that says that?
Nothing.
I believe it's, do I have the floor?
Yes.
I believe it's the board's prerogative is to determine whether it's a small board or not. It is not the chairperson's prerogative to do that.
We're going to go forward with this. We have explain what's on the floor right now.
Chair Swanson was putting in a motion, and trustee Daly opposed that and challenged it. Chair Swanson ruled that he was able to make motions, and trustee Daly appealed that ruling. What's before the board is that appeal. If you sustain the chair's position that he is able to make motions as chair, then you vote yes. If you agree with trustee Daly, you vote no. Trustee Daly.
No.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Couch.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
No.
Trustee Wolcott.
Yes.
Trustee Dotson.
No.
Chair Swanson.
Yes.
The chair is sustained in his ruling.
Excuse me, Chairman Swanson.
Yes.
Can I say something about this or no?
Go ahead.
Thank you. If it is not written, I do believe that we should have, this should be written, it should be documented, that either the chair can make rulings or the chair can't make rulings, because even after you, we don't want to have to continue to go through this. So I do think as a board, we need to document that into practice, whether it's a bylaw or whatever.
I think that if you brought it up to the bylaw committee, and they're looking at bylaws, so that'd be the place to do that. Okay?
So how does the chair have the authority to determine that this is a small board? Based upon the arguments that you just made.
John, you're out of order. Moving on. I move that the board's decision to extend a contract offer to interim President Sonda Richardson Snell to become president of Mott Community College be ratified. That's my motion.
Support.
Okay, there's been a motion made, a second. Discussion. John?
Are you talking about offering a contract of any type or offering this contract?
I'm talking about moving forward with the process. There's no sense in going forward if the board votes not to move forward.
I want to be clear on what we're voting for. I want to be sure that this contract that we've been dealing with now for the last 5.5, let me finish, it's my floor right now. The last 5.5 hours is not going to be the one that's attached to this amendment, or your motion.
There's no contract right now offered attached to mine. I want to know if the board wants to move forward to ratify the decision it made twice in the past to offer a contract. That's what my motion is.
Restate the motion, please.
I move that the board's decision to extend a contract offer to interim president Shonda Richardson Snell to become president of the Mott Community College be ratified. This is the board has voted twice on this. We have 2 new members. As you have brought up in the past, John, that you thought we should ask to see if we wanted to move forward. That's what we're doing right now.
Chairman Swanson.
Yes.
The way I've been looking at the contract is that this will be a useful tool and an opportunity for us to utilize this contract for any person that we're interested in hiring. So I haven't necessarily been thinking of it with the interim president in mind. Just in general, whatever president we want to provide a contract that we all agree, that for the most part, the board agrees upon, then that will be ready and intact. I wasn't here last year when all of this took place, but there's a lot of things that's going on and that's still unresolved that I feel needs to be resolved before we are able to extend a contract to the interim president. One of the things that's unresolved for me is Trustee Couch. She wasn't present. She was present then, which she made a vote then, which she shouldn't have, and she shouldn't be making votes now.
Well, this motion is whether we move forward with proceedings today or not.
Okay. Thank you.
Point of order.
Yes.
I obviously missed it. Is this item that you've added, or your motion you made, is that on the agenda?
No, it has to pertain with what's on the agenda, though. So it's on the agenda.
Which item is it on the agenda? So just for the record, so we can keep the record straight.
Moving forward.
Yeah. It'd be 1.34 to find out if we want to move forward.
So this is replacing the existing 1.34.
No. It's part of it.
Continuing.
Well, you haven't amended the agenda to include that.
John, you're out of order.
I call
Art, do you have anything?
I protest the co-chair's ruling. I'm asking questions.
Turn your mic on.
You turned it off again. It's not on. It's off.
On?
There you go.
All I'm asking questions is to see how this fits in with our bylaws.
You're appealing, correct?
Yes.
You're appealing. There's an appeal on the floor of the chair's ruling.
Okay, if you agree with the chair that this motion has something to do with the agenda today, you would vote yes.
Point of order.
Yes.
That's not the question. The question is, where is it on the agenda in accordance with our bylaws?
You've changed it.
Where did we change it? Where did we amend the agenda?
You changed your objection.
My ruling, John, is that it is part of the agenda. So if you want to appeal that, go right ahead.
I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Okay. There's a appeal for my ruling. If you agree with the chair that this motion is on the agenda as part of 1.34, you would vote yes. If you disagree with the chair and you agree with Mr. Daly, you would vote no. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Daly.
No.
Trustee Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Couch.
Yes.
Trustee Reyes.
No.
Trustee Walcott.
Yes.
Trustee Dotson.
No.
Chair Swanson.
Yes.
The chair's ruling is sustained. The matter is on the agenda.
So how will it
So
be
now we
added to
have
the
the motion.
record?
The motion is on the floor.
Point of information.
Yes.
Since we voted to support your ruling that it is on the agenda and it's not on the agenda, how will it be placed on the records?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking the chair.
You know, it will be included in the minutes. Anyways, there's a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Oh, I'm sorry, Art.
Thank you. I speak against the motion. I do not believe that we should continue with this process until we have answered the questions regarding the conflict of interest question. There's too many unanswered questions. I still believe and hold that we should be doing a national search. So this process should stop until we do a search, follow our own procedures, follow what our bylaws say, post the job, have the resumes brought in, have an interview committee, establish a stakeholder committee, so that way we can get input from the community, from the faculty, from students, as well as from the board. And the only way that we can do that is to adhere to the process that we have followed every time we have chosen a president of this college, and that's through a national search. So I speak against this motion because I think that offering any contract to Shonda Richardson Snell is premature.
Yes. John.
Okay. I agree with Trustee Reyes. The real question in my mind is not whether we should be offering a contract to her as president. The real question in my mind is whether we should be retaining her as the interim. That this is really, the last 7 months, this board has been paralyzed because of the decision she's made. My opinion, my personal opinion, is that the manner in which the HLC complaint was handled was very inappropriate. I've never heard of a person that's involved in the complaint writing the response. And then, for that reason, I can't support this, your motion.
All right, any more discussion?
I just wanted to put something out on the floor. I totally agree with the conflict. Like I said, there's too many unknowns, there's too much uncertainty, there's too many unresolved questions that are still out there. And Trustee Couch, she voted at a time where there was conflict that was still going on at that particular time, and then she did not attend a meeting for forever. You should not just be able to pop in and pop out when you think your vote and your voice is going to be needed. And it doesn't look good for our board to allow that to happen. So I understand her constituents voted her in. I get that. But there should be something that the board can do, not only for Trustee Couch, but for any person who just pops in and pops out and utilizes that sort of power to use their voice when it's time for a vote. And the same vote pertains to the conflict that's in question. And it's not only just the conflict, it's also about the Facebook post. She still has yet to, one, apologize, two, say anything about the post, and then three, I thought there was some type of investigation or something that was happening that the chair was going to bring back before this group to let us know what was the solution as it relates to that. And now she's back to vote on something very important that she was involved in, and it just doesn't look good from a neutral standpoint and from a board perspective.
Any other discussion? Okay, there's a motion seconded and discussed. Roll call vote, please.
Restate the motion, please.
I can
Go
restate
ahead.
it. It was moved that the board's decision to extend a contract offer to interim president Shonda Richardson Snell be ratified. Roll call vote. Trustee Daly?
No.
Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Trustee Reyes?
No.
Trustee Wolcott?
Yes.
Trustee Dodson?
No.
Chair Swanson?
Yes.
Yes, it has been voted on that the contract offer should go forward with the process.
I move for approval.
Oh, hang on.
I'm sorry.
Do you want the floor?
Yes, I'm sorry. Could I
Yeah.
make a motion?
I
Yeah.
didn't mean to cut you off,
Oh,
Trustee Miller.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I move for approval of the HUC Committee's recommendation for the contract offer to the interim president, with the effective date of the contract being upon execution of the contract by both parties.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
and it's seconded. Discussion? Art?
Yeah, I'm not clear on that because the motion said to offer for interim position. So I need you to reread that.
Okay. I move for the approval of the ad hoc committee's recommendation for the contract offer to the interim president,
Okay.
with the effective date of the contract being upon execution of the contract by both parties. Now, in stating this, my reasons are, after considering what the board did at the last meeting, I think the various amendments to the contract offer were disrespectful to both the ad hoc committee and to the interim president. Jeff and Wendy were the board members who worked on the ad hoc committee because Trustee Daly had resigned. They worked hard to present a fair and reasonable offer. The offer was in line with other community colleges. They followed the advice of counsel as to those matters which were standard in higher education. Shonda has proven herself to be worthy of being treated.
Could you please hold it down, please, in the audience? Thank you.
Shonda has proven herself to be worthy of being treated just as well as others in the same circumstance. The nitpicking and nickel and diming the contract offer has received from this board is not warranted.
Art?
A couple things. First of all, it's the job of this board to nitpick the contract. This was a recommendation that was brought to the full board. It is the duty of the full board to go through and have our questions and concerns answered. They did not present even from your own report. You did not present a fully finalized contract. We've been going through this piece by piece because there are questions and concerns that board members have, and we have not only the right, but the responsibility to ask those. And if that's considered
Trustee
nitpicking.
Reyes,
If that's considered, let me, just a second, let me finish.
Art has the floor.
So it is our duty to, as you say, nitpick. There are questions that we had, and as far as other people in her position, I would like you to show me, I would like to be shown a contract that is offered to somebody who had zero higher education experience, who is in their first term. So if we were to compare apples to apples, this is a very lucrative contract. This is not a first-time president's contract. So it is up to the board to go through and have our questions answered. You have your 4 votes. So you're going to push through whatever it is that you want to push through. But to say that us doing our job is nitpicking is disrespectful to the duties of this board.
Chair, you finished, Art? Okay.
Mr. Chair.
No, we have to go around to everybody. Mr. Daly.
I want to be sure that I understand the motion. The motion, as I understand, is that's been put forth is the board approve what was submitted by the ad hoc committee.
I believe so.
And if that's the case, I want to be clear that what that means is that all the changes that we agreed to make, you included, at the last meeting, are going to be thrown out.
I believe with that motion, it would be the contract that, as it came from the ad hoc committee recommendation.
And I have to ask a point of information. If you feel this way, why did you, Trustee Miller, why did you support the changes last meeting?
I didn't.
John, address your questions up here, please. Okay. All right. Any other? I think that what Wendy and I tried to put together at in the ad hoc committee was fair to everybody. It's as far as the money goes, it's not the biggest salary, it's not the least. I believe it was fair, and therefore I can support this motion. Kenyatta.
Chairman Swanson, I was in the audience last year when the motion went out, where 2 times, I believe, the motion passed to do a national search, and I think then it came back, and we decided we were going to do the same vote again, and then it passed, so we would not have a national search. We spent 5 hours last Monday going through this contract to determine what we thought was fair, what we thought was reasonable, and then we come back today for the second part of, well, really that 6-hour meeting to say that we're going to go back to how it was. That does not make sense. I mean, I value my time. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm here to serve Mott, to uphold the mission, the vision, the long legacy of Mott College, but I'm not here to waste time. Why do we go through all of that, passing motions and all of these types of things, being in agreement as a board, because we were in agreement as a board, just to say that none of that, all of that is irrelevant, and now we're going to go back to the contract prior to all of us spending all of that time here? It does not make sense. Secondly, Mott deserves a skilled president. Mott deserves a skilled president. Am I saying that that's not interim president Shonda? No, I'm not saying that. But how would I know? As an intelligent person who believes in education, I believe that we have to do a national search. We have to. And on top of that, I mean, what's so difficult about going through this process? Because more than likely, it's still going to be 4-3, but guess what? We may have a unanimous vote to do a national search. If you make a motion or whomever makes a motion and says, let's do a national search, and then we have consensus around that, when it comes down to still voting for interim president, there still may be a 4-3. It still may be. So why not go through the process of having a national search so that we can ensure that Mott has the best possible candidate we can get? So this, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Kenyatta.
This is not personal to interim president at all, but having a national search, we want to say that we want to continue the 100-plus years of the Mott legacy by having someone in position who we have said have gone through a national search process. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Kenyatta, are you finished?
Thank you, yes.
Okay. Art?
I want to make sure that Candace gets a second chance prior to me getting a second chance, but I do have something to say.
Okay, I'm sorry, Candace.
Yes, I do have something to say. I have a little bit of corporate background. So I will say, whenever I hired somebody on the chance that they could possibly do the job without the credentials, and they worked for me 6 months or better and proved themselves by their performance, I don't go out looking for somebody else. And that's my experience. I don't waste the money with advertising. I don't waste big money. This is $250,000. And I see that she is perfectly fitted for this job.
Nope, it's my turn.
My turn.
No, it's my turn.
I'm sorry. I think, yeah, it's, yeah. Art?
I have a question regarding this, and this is to the chair and to the attorney that drew the contract up. At the last meeting, I asked whether or not the interim president had seen the contract, and the answer was yes, because she got sent it the same time that we did.
That's correct.
I want to know whether she was consulted or had any input before us going back to what was presented the first time. Have negotiations started with her? Has she had any input in us going back to what was initial displeasure in the changes that we made? And did she express pleasure in what was originally intended on being offered?
She had not been consulted. She received the first from the ad hoc committee originally, as we said. I have spoken with her twice on school matters, nothing on the contract. And council has, you sent out the contract to who?
I did not convey it to the president, nor did I speak with the president in any way about it.
Any attorney that is representing her in negotiations?
Not to my knowledge yet. I imagine there could be at some stage, but I don't know whether that'll be the case.
Okay. I think that we went through, and as a board, as a majority, because in all of these, there were overwhelming support for the changes that we made, for us to now go back and undo all of the changes that we set forth, are bringing back into play things that we overwhelmingly expressed displeasure on. And then there's also a discrepancy in what we had gone over last time versus this time. On page 3, section 5, paragraph, subsection 4, we called the HR up, Christie up, and asked her about the officers' group liability coverage. That was 1 million is what she had said. So we changed it to 1 million on the last contract, and I see on the one that was presented to us today, it remained at 5 million.
Thank you. Yes, I was going to call that to the attention. That was an error. Both the board and the officer's insurance has been raised before the last meeting to 5 million. We certainly want both the board and the president to be able to take advantage of that new policy.
So the information that we got from HR was incorrect?
Yes, and actually, she found it out and corrected it the same day. It's just that the board meeting had concluded.
Okay, all right. I just don't see where all of the work that we've put in this, good faith work, put in this, needs to be undone. I mean, we have gone through the majority of the number portion of this and came to agreement on the numbers portion. As was stated at the last meeting, the remaining half to third is basically boilerplate stuff. And I've gone through and read through one of the contracts that had been offered to our former president, and they are nearly word for word, but it's clearly boilerplate stuff. I looked for differences so that way I could ask as to why there were differences, and found none after Section 5. So they was nearly word for word the same agreement. We also discussed offering an amendment that because we have a lawsuit pending as well as an open grievance, that should this contract be ruled non-compliant and she's not able to because of a ruling from a judge or from the settlement of a grievance, that the college be held liable for the remainder of her agreement. So what happens to that?
Art, I believe that was discussed in closed session.
Well, we were going to have to bring it up in open session in order for it to be done because
were.
Under advice of our attorney said, we will discuss that language, and then we left. He advised us to turn in that language.
Art, I'm just telling you, was in closed session. It's going to be known anyway, so that's fine.
Yes, but it's
I'm just
missing
commenting that.
missing from what the ad hoc committee had done. And so that does open us up to liability, when we could very clearly take care of it very easily.
I don't believe that we should have the discussion as to the merits or pros and cons of that in anything other than a closed session on another day. We did discuss it in great detail then, and the rationale for it.
John.
There has been a lot of qualitative labels that have been thrown on the interim president's performance as interim president. And I'm just really surprised, because the only way that I know that you can figure out whether somebody's doing the job or not is to do an evaluation. The reason that I resigned from the ad hoc committee was because I wanted to have the interim president to have an evaluation as interim president before they took office as president. That proposal was dramatically refused by the other two members of the ad hoc committee. And that was the reason I resigned, was over that issue specifically. The way this is set up right now, it will be possibly 22 months before the chief executive of this college gets any kind of evaluation. And I just can't believe that we're not going to do an evaluation of her as interim before with this, and it should be one that's basically a 360 eval. But just throw a label out there based upon limited performance and limited view is, in my view, frankly, irresponsible.
Candace?
I agree with John. That's one, or trustee Daly, that's one of the things I have written down. This is the updated version of the contract, correct?
No, that's the old version that you're holding there, the updated version.
Is this the updated?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that on page 2 where we talked about, and you can let me know so I won't fumble around trying to find it, was the language change where it says the evaluation may be provided? That an evaluation may be waived?
Yes.
That was changed?
Yes, all of the changes that we discussed were made as discussed. I went back and double-checked them.
Okay, thank you. And I also feel that not only should an evaluation happen annually, there should also be an evaluation. We're not too far into 2025, almost 6 months, but not quite, that there should also be an evaluation for 2024. Before we offer any type of contract at all, we should at least know, granted, we see based on the president's updates at the board meetings, but to have an evaluation that we can physically see how not only does the board evaluate the president, but it would also be nice to see how does the students evaluate the president, how does staff evaluate the president, and for us to be able to see that language and that data as well. And then it was mentioned by Trustee Miller that she being in the business sector, from an individual standpoint, yes, hiring one person and they do a 6-month time period to see whether or not they can uphold the duties of a position, that's one thing. But from a collective standpoint, we're a board, we have the responsibility to ensure that the person that we hire has the credentials, has the skills, and has the credibility to be able to move forth to lead this institution. It's not from an individual standpoint. One board member should not have the power to make such decisions, but from a collective standpoint, we do that together. And lastly, I just want to state that when we left our meeting last Monday, I felt really good. I felt really good because there were some things that we did not agree upon, but guess what? At the end of the day, we went through the contract piece by piece. And from a collective standpoint, it wasn't always it was 4-3, but it wasn't the same 4-3 all the time. It wasn't the same 3-4 all the time. And that really made me feel good because although we disagreed, we found a happy medium. And we were able to get to the point that we got to after 6 hours on last Monday to walk away from this contract feeling like we had done something that made a difference to a certain extent. And then to say that it's all going to be disregarded, that definitely doesn't feel good. So I'm pretty sure I probably won't, if that ends up being the case, I won't go home feeling as good today, if good at all, as I did on Monday. Because we should be doing this as a board, and we should not keep doing this back and forth thing, hot and cold thing.
Okay, could you restate the motion, please?
The motion on the floor, and I believe Trustee Miller may have written this out, so if I misstate it, please let me know.
Okay.
Is to move for approval of the ad hoc committee's recommendation to extend the contract to interim president Shonda Richardson Snell with the effective date being upon execution by the parties.
Correct.
Okay, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Roll call vote on that motion. Trustee Daly.
No. And could we rotate the
Trustee-
voting process at some point?
Trustee Daly, I will explain that the IT department and media asked to have it in the same order for a technical reason. So that's why I'm doing it in the same order. Is that okay? It has something to do with the microphones being open. I have your vote as no. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Trustee Reyes?
No.
Trustee Walcott?
Yes.
Trustee Dodson?
No.
Chair Swanson.
Yes.
The motion for approval of the ad hoc committee's recommendation for the contract offer to interim President Shonda Richardson Snell, with the effective date being upon execution of the parties, has been approved.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I move that the board chair and Attorney Carrie DeWitt tender the contract offer to interim President Shonda Richardson Snell as soon as possible.
Please hold it down in the crowd, please. We have a motion on the floor
I second it.
and a second. Could you restate the motion, please?
I believe the motion was to authorize the board chair and the attorney involved in this matter, Carrie DeWitt, to tender the contract offer to interim President Richardson Snell as soon as possible.
Correct.
Okay, discussion? John?
Well, you finally did it. You got to the point where you don't want to listen to the rest of the board. You don't want to listen to the public. All you want to do is take the four and ram it through. What you're doing is effectively crippling this administration. The label that I ran into this past week when I was attending the MCC quarterly meeting that came from another college was outlaw board. And that's probably a pretty pertinent label. This is a very bad decision if you do this.
Art, did you?
Yeah, I am speaking against the motion because I think, as I've stated several times, it's premature in offering interim President Richardson Snell the contract. I have stated previously that we needed to do an evaluation of her before we move forward. The tendering of this contract to her, then they counter. What is the process after that? Because in 134, it said including determination of procedure process for decision-making. And I need to know what the process procedure for decision-making will be from here on out.
I'm sorry, do you want to? I believe that what the process is going to be, if the offer is tendered to her and she does not accept it, she comes back with a counteroffer. She will come, present her counteroffer. At that point in time, it will be voted on by the board whether or not to accept the counteroffer.
This is just, it's unsettling. It is extremely unsettling, Jeff, that we've gone through, I work full-time currently, so I've had to take days off to be here. And like Trustee Dodson said, I value my time. We have now undone all of the work that we did and agreed upon. We are now looking at tendering an offer prematurely to the interim president. And I just wonder, this is just, it's an injustice to the college community.
Kenyatta, did you?
Yes, thank you. Yes, this is disheartening. It's unsettling. It's also very disheartening, to be honest, because what this says to me, although I've always been a firm believer that my voice matters, that I make a difference, it seems like as long as there is a perceived four votes, then nobody else's voice on this board matters or counts. And that is very disheartening. And I also work full-time. I'm a mom. I do a lot in the community. So the things that I delegate time to means something to me. So to say that what we all agreed upon and spent 6 hours on last Monday is just going to be thrown out the window for a 2-member ad hoc committee, that's not fair. It's not fair, and it's definitely not right. And then, in terms of the optics, as a board, we are supposed to uphold this institution. We're supposed to uphold values. And the optics of Trustee Couch being able to come just for this vote says that this board is allowing her to do that just as we move forward with a perceived conflict in 2024. Now, after today, when our next board meeting comes, and she's not here for another 6 months or 4 months or 3 months or 10 months until it's time for another vote to come forth, that is not right. And that's up to the board to make some type of decision based on council on how we move forward so that that doesn't happen, not only with Trustee Couch, but for any trustee that's on this board. Thank you.
Mr. Daly?
This is an extremely disappointing move. I mean, it's not unexpected. For the last year, actually prior to that, 15 months, the majority of this board, when it saw the processes weren't going the way they wanted them to go, changed the process to get an end result. You've done that repeatedly. You did that with the search for you did that with the search for the president. You did that with, as far as I'm concerned, that was a personal betrayal to me because I had been promised a search by members on this board. I believe that you're going down a path of where the end justifies the means. If I can't get it one way, then I'll change everything and do it another way. I see that on a repeated basis, whether it be even changes in the bylaws to restrict the public in public speaking. I see it in changes in votes, because I often wonder in my own mind just how much lobbying is going on after the vote's been taken. This is reprehensible, this approach. I'm a strong believer in process. I have said all along, consistently, that I can live with whoever a legitimate process delivers. My question is, and continues to be to the board, what are you afraid of?
Okay, there's been a motion, seconded, discussion. Could you repeat the motion and have a roll call vote?
Yes, the motion on the floor is to have the board chair and the attorney tender the contract offer that has been approved to interim President Chanda Richardson Snell as soon as possible. Trustee Daly?
I want to be clear that if I vote no, that means we're not going to tender the offer to the interim president. Is that correct?
If the motion doesn't pass?
If the motion doesn't pass.
Yes.
I vote no.
I guess. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Trustee Reyes?
No.
Trustee Wolcott?
Yes.
Trustee Dodson?
No.
Chair Swanson?
Yes.
The motion passes.
All right, we'll take a recess while,
Recess for what? I move adjournment.
we're going to take a recess so the attorney can get things around, and we will go and give the contract to Shonda. And if she accepts it, fine. If she doesn't, she can come back with a counter.
The expectation is that we'll wait here while that is conveyed to her?
Are you serious?
Well, yes, there'd be a short recess.
No,
No.
Second.
So,
no, that is complete disrespect for the time of this
Second.
board. Otherwise, second.
I seconded already.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. There's been a motion by trustee Daley and seconded by Art, correct?
Yeah.
To adjourn the meeting. We'll have a roll call vote.
motion to adjourn this meeting. Trustee Daley.
Yes.
Trustee Miller.
No.
Trustee Couch.
No.
Trustee Reyes.
Yes.
Trustee Wolcott.
No.
Trustee Dotson.
Yes.
Chair Swanson.
No. All right, I'll call recess. We will reconvene in just a little bit. Okay, I'll call this meeting back in session. The contract was presented to the interim president, Snell. She accepted, and I would entertain a motion. Oh, all right, we'll do a roll call on attendance first.
Roll call for attendance with the meeting reconvened at about 1:26 PM. Trustee Couch.
Yes.
Trustee Daly. Not present. Trustee Dotson.
Present.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Reyes. Not present. Trustee Walcott.
Here.
Chair Swanson.
Here.
There is a quorum.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to allow me to sign the agreed-upon contract with the interim president for the position of president. I would entertain that motion now.
So move.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Candace?
Candace.
Kenyatta, sorry.
I just wanted to say again that I do not approve of this, moving this forward. We have a role here as a board collectively to work together to make decisions that we feel are in the best decision of the college, students, staff, faculty. And I just don't feel like we've done that in this regard, especially going back to the previous contract and disregarding all the work that we did last Monday. Last Monday, it was refreshing to see different board members voting in different ways, whether it was one way or the other. And we took a lot of time, like going through everything so that we all found a happy medium, so to speak. And then just to totally disregard that, it sends a message that some of our voices are more important than others, and that's not the way things should be. Power should not be played out in these roles. We should be working together as a board to make the best decisions possible. I believe we're supposed to be people of integrity. I wasn't going to come back, to be honest, because I didn't feel good after everything that transpired today. All the work that we did, and to just throw all of that out the window as if it didn't even happen, I don't even have a word for it right now. But I know that I have a responsibility and a duty to the people. And not only should we be people of integrity individually, but collectively, we should be a board of integrity. And we have a right, well, we are supposed to be upholding those who have put us into these positions, to be their voice and to do things that are in their best interest. And I just believe we failed the people today.
Kenyatta, anything else? You have your mic still on?
Oh, thank you. It's a lot going up in here, but it's not going to come out today. So, yeah, I'll say I'm done for right now.
Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, a roll call vote?
Roll call vote on the motion to permit the board chair to sign on behalf of the board the contract which was offered and accepted by the interim president. Trustee Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Couch?
Yes.
Trustee Walcott?
Yes.
Trustee Dotson?
No.
Chair Swanson?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The chair will execute the contract now consistent with the motion that's just passed. The document that's been executed by the president and initialed with the effective dates as discussed in another motion that passed will have the draft designation removed from it, and then I will present that back to the chair and to the new president for execution of a document that does not contain the word draft. And of course, there will be no other changes from the document being executed today. For the record, the chair has executed on behalf of the board and is simply executing a second execution copy now for records. Thank you, that's complete.
Okay, I would adjourn this meeting. Thank you.